Hey folks, I caught a cold. It's my first cold of the season. Probably won't be the last. But because I was so busy with my countdown, I wasn't able to do this weekly preview of what's to come in comic shops from the horror genre. But I'm back, sick or no, and here's what's new in comic book horror this week, November 2nd, 2022. Welcome back to ML Miller Frights. I'm ML Miller. Before we begin, please do me a favor and punch that like button down below. Share this video with all of your social media addicted pals. Click subscribe to this channel and ring that bell for notifications. Let's check out this week in comic book horror, November 2nd, 2022. I apologize in advance for my sniffles. Becoming Frankenstein number 3 is self-published. The story is by Paul H. Birch and Mel Smith, with art by Frank Cirocco. I know nothing about this book, but I love me a retelling of classic horror tales like Frankenstein. This one seems to focus on Victor Frankenstein during his college years, which sounds like an interesting angle to approach the story. I also love the piecemeal cover with all sorts of cool details of the development of the best mad scientist ever conceived. I'll have to track this series down once it wraps up. It looks very interesting to me. Disturbed Dark Messiah number 5 is from Opus Comics. The story is by Tim Seeley, with art by Axel, Medellin, Machain, Esau, Escorza, and Issac Escorza. I haven't been following this series, but if you're a fan of the band Disturbed and like dystopian future sci-fi horror, then I think you deserve to treat yourself to this new series. Number 5 seems to be the final issue, featuring the big battle between the united forces of the weak against the harsh and powerful CEO of a twisted corporation, all featuring the toothy monstrosity that is Disturbed's mascot. Vampirella vs. Red Sonja, number 1, is from Dynamite Entertainment. The story is by Dan Abnett, with art by Alessandro Ranaldi. It's red thongs versus silver chain male bikini action in this series, pitting the alien vampire bombshell Vampirella versus the she-devil with a sword, Red Sonja. All I know is that with all of that fighting, a boob or two is going to get loose. So be prepared for some bodacious
give me a boo, boo, give me a B, B, give me a S, S, go boo!
action. Bloodstained Teeth number 6 is from Image Comics. The story is by Christian Ward, with art by Mack Chater. In this standalone issue, with guest artist Mack Chater, Christian Ward delves into the origins of one of his deadliest characters, vampire hunter Dr. Beverly Phelps. I'm not following this series, and don't know if the focus on Dr. Phelps is a good or bad development. But this has been a relatively popular vampire ongoing series, expanding on the lore in this character-centric issue. Monsters of Metal number 1 is from Opus Comics. The story is by Llexi and Jason Howden, with art by Luis Guaragna. From the director and writer of Guns Akimbo, that's the one where Harry Potter gets guns nailed to his palms, Jason Howden, and Llexi comes a metal band whose members are classic monster characters. This cover looks to be featuring a punked-out version of Frankenstein's monster. Opus Comics are out heavy metal these days, incorporating true hard rock lifestyle with creative comic booking. From Frazetta to Disturbed, if you're a metalhead, this is a brand to pay attention to. Count CROWLEY, Amateur Midnight Monster Hunter, number 4, is from Dark Horse Comics. The story is by David Dastmalchian, with art by Lukas Ketner. Count CROWLEY learns that it's not as easy as the movies make it seem to be rid of a vampire. When stakes, holy water, and sunlight fail to get rid of the bloodsucker, what's an amateur midnight monster hunter to do? This series is written by Polka Dot Man himself, David Dastmalchian. So expect some off-kilter antics paired with gory and gruesome action. The Walking Dead Deluxe number 50 is from Skybound Entertainment. The story is by Robert Kirkman, with art by Charlie Adlard. and Dave McCaig. This monumental issue features Coral all alone against a horde of zombies. Why are you all alone, Coral? Why didn't you stay with the group, Coral? Coral? Why can't I pronounce your name right? All of this Coral-tacular action is brought to you in full color in this new reprint deluxe series. Hell to Pay, #1, is from Image Comics. The story is by Charles Soule, or Sewell, I never know which one it is, with art by Will Sliney. There's only one thing more terrifying than hell itself, and that's student loans. If you're like me, you've felt the weight of student loans and how bogged down it can make you feel in your day-to-day life. Now imagine going to a college using student loans given out by hell itself. And imagine what happens when the loan collector comes knocking at your door. That's the clever and all too common horrors Charles Soule, or Soule, is delving into with this new series, and while it might sting a bit, it's a concept that feels fresh, fun, and familiar. King Spawn, #16, is from Image Comics. The story is by Sean Lewis, with art by Thomas Nachlik. King Spawn journeys through the dead zones and threatens to open their gates wide. That sounds like a bad thing to do, I guess. I think Spawny should really sit down and write a pros and cons list to see what he should do in this situation. Or maybe just rock, paper, scissors it. What do I know about Spawn? What little I do know guarantees that nothing like what I just described will appear in this issue. Behold Behemoth, #1, is from Boom Studios. The story is by Tate Brombal, with art by Nick Robles. This series follows a social worker who has nightmares of a monster arriving soon after meeting a young child he is assigned to. But why are the social worker and the young child's dreams so similar? And what is this monstrous beast whose arrival is so imminent? The answers are given in this new and emotionally terrifying series. Predator #4 is from Marvel Comics. The story is by Ed Brisson, with art by Kev Walker. It's one gal with a huge chip on her shoulder against a pair of snarling and slaughterous predators on a barren winter landscape. This series has been rock solid. It's not as bombastic as the Alien series Marvel has been doing, but it's delivered some awesome tension and terror in just a few short issues. Looking forward to more Monster Hunter action in this current issue. Little Monsters #7 is from Image Comics. The story is by Jeff Lemire, with art by Dustin Nguyen. This issue flashes back to show us how the group of little monsters came to be, and then flashes back to the present to tell us who survives and who remains bonded together after the harrowing events of the last few issues of this kiddie vampire series with a whole lot of bite. I said that because it's got vampires in it. Yeah. Night of the Ghoul #2 is from Comixology. The story is by Scott Snyder, with art by Francesco Francavilla. As soldiers arrive home after the end of World War II, they inadvertently bring back a horrifying creature that will haunt the survivors of the war and their later generations that follow. All of this is from the wild and woolly mind of comic book horror master Scott Snyder. I'm always up for some Scott Snyder horror, and look forward to catching up with this ghoulish little number. Finally, we've got Escape from Wyoming, #1, from Bad Idea Comics. The story is by Robert Venditti, with art by Jorge Monlongo. I know nothing about this comic, and don't want to. Knowing my favorite comic book writer, Robert Venditti, is writing this one guarantees my attention. Venditti has not steered me wrong from his amazing runs on Exo Manowar, to Green Lantern, to Hawkman. This cover looks and feels extremely gory and ominous, and given Venditti's track record, I'm standing in line to be first to check this new series from Bad Idea out. That's it for this week's haul. I'll be picking up a bunch of these titles this week, including Escape from Wyoming, Little Monsters, Predator, Behold Behemoth, Hell to Pay, and probably Becoming Frankenstein. It looks pretty interesting. How's about you? Let me know which ones look good to you down in the comments.
You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be. Stuck inside your reality. You're doomed. Oh, you're doomed. You're doomed. God doomed. Live the life that you are meant to be. Live inside